May 2024, 11:47 p.m. Emma Clark was on iteration 23 of a single product concept, a smart water bottle for a startup client. They had asked for 3 prototype concepts. She had spent 9 days and finished one. Just one. She wasn't overloaded with work. In fact, she only had 2 active projects on her plate. That was her limit. Anything more would break the system she had built around herself. As she stared at her screen, another email came in. A tech company, 4 product concepts, full specifications, 3-week timeline, budget, $15,000, a dream client, and she already knew the answer was no. At her current pace, 4 concepts would take 8 weeks minimum. Saying yes would mean missing deadlines, compromising quality, or both. She closed the email without replying and went back to iteration 23. 6 months later, Emma would be delivering 8 projects a month instead of 2. Each prototype would take 3 days instead of 2 weeks, and clients would tell her her ideas had never been more innovative. But right now, at 11:47 p.m., she was wondering if the very perfectionism that built her reputation was quietly destroying her career. Emma had been a product designer for 6 years, award-winning work, meticulous execution, a reputation for thinking through every possible design direction, and yet she was capped, creatively and financially, by a process she refused to compromise. 3 weeks later, everything would change. Part 1. The breaking point. Here's what Emma's work life actually looked like before things shifted. By April 2024, she was a freelance product designer specializing in consumer tech and lifestyle products. Her offer was premium and clear. Full product design packages for $7,500 per project. Each package included 3 distinct prototype concepts, technical specifications, high-quality 3D renderings, and manufacturing-ready documentation. The average timeline was 3 weeks, 2 weeks for prototyping, 1 for documentation. 2 projects a month meant $15,000 in revenue. On paper, it looked like success. In practice, it was a grind. Each prototype concept required nearly 12 days of focused work, 2 days of ideation and sketching, 3 days of digital rendering and 3D modeling, 4 days of iteration and refinement, another 3 days navigating client feedback and revisions. Multiply that by 3 prototypes, and a single project quietly ballooned into more than a month of intense creative labor. Emma's bottleneck was not inefficiency, it was depth. She explored everything. For the water bottle project alone, she sketched 47 different form factors, modeled 12 different cap mechanisms, tested 8 material combinations. Most of it would never be seen by a client, but she felt it all had to be explored to earn the final concept. That belief had won her awards. It had also locked her into a ceiling she couldn't break. By May 21st at 11:47 p.m., she was still refining the same bottle. She had spent 3 hours adjusting the ergonomic grip, nudging a thumb indent by 2 millimeters, rotating the cap threading by 1 degree. Would a client notice? Probably not. Did she notice? Instantly. This attention to microscopic detail was her signature. It was also the reason 9 days had passed, and she still had 2 concepts left to design. Then the email came in. 4 prototypes, 3 weeks. Perfect fit, perfect budget. Emma did the math in her head and felt her stomach drop. 8 weeks of work, minimum. She typed a polite decline, explained her process, and offered to recommend someone faster. She hit send, then stared at iteration 23. I'm turning away perfect clients, she thought, because I spent 3 hours on 2 millimeter adjustments. At 12:34 a.m., she closed her laptop. Part 2. The forbidden shortcut. The next morning, the $15,000 project was still sitting heavy in her chest. At 8:15 a.m. on May 22nd, Emma opened her laptop and typed a question she never thought she'd ask. How do product designers work faster? The answers were predictable. Build better component libraries, use templates, improve software efficiency. She had already done all of it. Then she saw a forum post that made her recoil. A designer claimed they were using AI image generators to explore early concepts, generating dozens of variations in minutes, narrowing quickly, and refining only the strongest directions. Their prototyping time had dropped from 2 weeks to 4 days. Emma felt irritated just reading it. AI-generated design represented everything she disliked about the industry. Generic shapes, soulless aesthetics, algorithm-driven sameness. Real designers wrestled with ideas. They explored bad directions to earn the good ones. AI didn't think. It scraped patterns and recombined them into something safe and derivative. Using it felt like cheating. Worse, it felt like fraud. She closed the tab. The next day, she started a new project, a smart plant moisture sensor. By mid-afternoon, she'd spent 6 hours sketching and had 23 concepts on paper. Most were bad, a few were passable, none felt right. That forum post crept back into her mind. What if I just look? She told herself. Not to use it, just to confirm it's terrible. She opened Midjourney and typed a prompt describing the product. A minute later, 4 AI-generated concepts appeared. They were exactly what she expected. Smooth curves, white plastic, green accents, minimalist blobs that looked like every smart home device on Amazon. Predictable, polished, empty. She studied them, unimpressed, closed the window, went back to sketching. But that night, 10:23 p.m., sketch 31, nothing was clicking. Exhausted, she reopened the forum thread and scrolled further than before. One comment stopped her. The designer explained they never used AI concepts directly. They used AI to map the obvious, to explore the entire design space quickly, identify cliches, and eliminate weak directions before real work began. AI wasn't creating ideas, it was clearing noise. I don't use AI concepts. I use AI to rapidly explore the entire possibility space, see what's obvious, what's derivative, what's been done. Then I design away from that. AI shows me what not to do. It eliminates 90% of bad directions in 5 minutes. Then I spend my creative energy on the 10% that's actually novel, the designer said. Another designer compared it to working with a junior designer. You wouldn't ship their sketches, but seeing dozens of rough explorations helped you recognize patterns, gaps, and opportunities faster. Think of AI like a junior designer doing exploration sketches. You'd never use their work directly, but seeing 50 quick explorations helps you see patterns, spot opportunities, identify what's missing. That's valuable even if you throw all 50 away. Emma leaned back in her chair. AI is a tool for elimination, not creation. Generate what's obvious, so I can focus on what's not. That idea sat with her longer than she expected, and for the first time, she didn't immediately reject it. Part 3. The terrifying test. High stakes, real fear. On May 25, 2024 at 9:30 in the morning, Emma finally decided to test the idea she'd been circling for days. She already had a real project on the line, the smart plant moisture sensor. 2 full days in, 31 sketches scattered across her desk, and that familiar feeling creeping back in. Too many directions, too much noise, no clear breakthrough yet. She paused, hands hovering over her sketchbook, and asked herself a different question. What if I don't let AI design anything, but I let it show me everything I already shouldn't design? That framing felt safer. Still uncomfortable, but safer. She opened Midjourney and wrote a deliberately broad prompt, asking for dozens of variations across styles: minimalist, organic, geometric, playful, premium, budget-friendly, tech-forward, nature-inspired. Not because she wanted answers, because she wanted to see the full landscape. 5 minutes later, 20 concepts filled her screen. Emma didn't react emotionally this time. She analyzed them, and something strange happened. 12 of the concepts looked eerily familiar, not because AI was copying her, but because they mirrored sketches she'd already drawn earlier that week. The obvious ones, the safe ones, the ones she'd instinctively known weren't right but still felt compelled to explore. 6 more went in directions she had already dismissed in past projects. Too generic, too derivative, too close to what already existed. That left 2. They weren't good, not usable. One was impractical, the other wouldn't work for this product at all, but they did something unexpected. They opened new mental doors. One introduced an asymmetric form she hadn't considered. The other replaced the usual stake with a clip mechanism. Wrong execution. Interesting thought. What shocked her wasn't the quality of the designs, it was the clarity. In 5 minutes, she had confirmation of 18 directions she no longer needed to waste energy on. Minimalist white blobs, overdone, soft organic curves, predictable, premium, Apple-adjacent aesthetics, exhausted. For the first time, Emma wasn't guessing where novelty lived. She could see where it didn't. That afternoon, she sketched with purpose instead of anxiety. Instead of asking, "What looks good?" she asked, "What hasn't been said yet?" Every AI concept tried to hide the technology, to make the sensor invisible. That realization hit her hard. What if the problem wasn't the tech itself, but the shame around showing it? She started sketching a design that did the opposite: a transparent body, internal components visible, an exterior texture inspired by bark rather than plastic, something that celebrated function instead of disguising it. 6 hours later, she looked up and realized she had 3 strong concepts on the page. Not maybe concepts, not placeholders, real contenders. Normally, it took her 4 or 5 days to reach that point. This time, it took a day and a half. The excitement was immediate and followed just as quickly by guilt. Had she cheated? She pushed forward anyway. Between May 26th and 28th, Emma committed fully to the experiment. She followed the same core steps she always had: 3D modeling, refinement, technical detailing, but the front end of the process had fundamentally changed. AI helped her clear the obvious paths. Her judgment decided where to go next. ChatGPT helped structure documentation, but every specification came from her. 7 days later, she sent 3 complete prototypes with full specs to the client. Then she waited, terrified, because if the work felt derivative, she'd have her answer. Part 4. The 6-month transformation. Earned success. The email arrived on May 29th. Emma opened it slowly, bracing herself. The message read, "Emma, these concepts are phenomenal. Especially Concept 2, that transparent body design celebrating the tech instead of hiding it. We've never seen anything like that. It's bold and distinctive. Let's move forward with that one." Emma reread that line 3 times. The concept the client loved most wasn't inspired by AI. It existed because she had deliberately designed away from it. That realization changed everything. In June, she tested the workflow cautiously on 3 more projects: a thermostat, a portable speaker, a kitchen gadget. Each time, she used AI briefly, never more than half an hour, to map the obvious, then spent her real energy where novelty lived. Every project finished in about 6 days instead of 20. And every time she sent the work out, she waited for the other shoe to drop. It didn't. Clients didn't notice repetition. They noticed boldness. By July, her confidence had grown enough to do something unthinkable a few months earlier. She emailed the tech startup she'd once turned away. She told them she had optimized her workflow and could now deliver 4 full concepts with specs in 3 weeks, without lowering standards. "Hi, I've optimized my prototyping workflow. If you still need 4 concepts with specs, I can now deliver in 3 weeks with the same quality standards," Emma wrote. They accepted immediately. 18 days later, she delivered the full package. The client approved development. The client's response read, "These concepts are exceptional. The transparent tech celebration on Concept 2 is exactly the kind of thinking we need." Greenlit for development. By September, Emma's work began getting external recognition. Design awards followed, ironically at a time when she was working faster than ever. That's when the real insight landed. Before, she burned her creative energy wandering through obvious ideas. She arrived at novelty exhausted, often settling for good enough. Now, she skipped the wandering entirely. AI didn't make her more creative. It removed the friction that had been blocking her creativity all along. By October, her new baseline was clear. She was completing 8 projects a month instead of 2. Prototypes took days instead of weeks. Documentation no longer drained her. Revenue climbed. But more importantly, so did confidence. Part 5. The tools and the simple math. By October, Emma's workflow had stabilized. Nothing complicated, nothing flashy, just a few tools used with clear boundaries. Mid-Journey for rapid concept exploration, ChatGPT for structuring technical documentation, Figma for refinement and presentation. The AI-specific cost came out to about $50 a month. That was the entire investment. Before April, Emma could realistically handle 2 projects a month, each one stretched across weeks. Prototypes took nearly 2 weeks per concept. Her calendar was full, but her capacity was capped. By October, she was delivering 8 projects a month. Prototypes were taking 3 days instead of 2 weeks. Revenue had more than tripled from $15,000 per month to $48,000 per month. And for the first time that year, her work was being recognized with awards. But when people asked her what changed, she didn't talk about money. She talked about attention. She stopped burning creative energy on ideas that were obvious, familiar, or already overused. AI handled that part. It showed her what the design landscape already looked like. Her job became choosing what wasn't there. That's why the work got better, even as the pace increased. Part 6. What this actually means for you. If you work in tech, design, or any creative discipline where thinking is the product, Emma's shift is not really about tools. It's about allocation. AI doesn't replace creative vision. It reduces noise. Most professionals don't struggle because they lack ideas. They struggle because they spend too much time proving ideas won't work. AI can do that part faster than you ever will. Exploring every possibility isn't a badge of honor. It's a tax on your energy. Speed doesn't dilute quality when speed comes from clarity. In Emma's case, Working faster meant making decisions while her judgment was still sharp. Also, clients don't pay for the number of iterations you suffer through. They pay for the one direction that feels different, confident, and resolved. AI helps surface the predictable. Humans are still responsible for choosing the distinctive. That division matters. If you work in tech, design, engineering, or any role where thinking is the bottleneck, here's the real takeaway. AI isn't most powerful when it creates things for you. It's powerful when it clears space around you. Use it to map the obvious. Use it to expose patterns. Use it to eliminate paths you don't need to walk anymore. But don't outsource judgment. Your value is not speed. It is not volume. It is not how many tools you use. Your value is knowing what to keep, what to discard, and what to push further than anyone else would. AI can show you the landscape. Only you decide where to build. If you found this useful and you care about doing better work without burning out, like the video, subscribe, and stay with us. More real workflows, more honest transformations,